happening in that place. Famine, that there was no food. People were struggling. The cost of living went high. Food, you could not get food easily. People even ended up now eating animals. Donkeys were being sold. And it went worse up to a point that women were now feeding on their own babies. You can imagine the way mothers normally protect their children. So for it to reach a stage that you as a mother, we agree that today let us eat mine, and then tomorrow we shall eat yours, it means the situation was bad. It was very bad. So as bad as it was, during that time, the prophet Elisha was there. And then the king and his men went to seek him because they really wanted to know what was going to happen. So chapter 7 says, when they went, the king and his messengers, when they went, so Elisha said, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the Lord says. About this time tomorrow, a seah of flour will sell for a shekel, and 2 seah of barley for a shekel at the gate of Samaria. That is where the famine was. The officer on whose arm the king was leaning said to the man of God, look, even if the Lord should open the floodgates of heaven, could this happen? That was a doubt, a question of a doubt. Then Elisha answered, you will see it with your own eyes, but you will not eat any of it. Simply because he doubted what the word that came from the Lord. Elisha told him clearly that you will see, seeing you will see, but you shall not be able to eat. And truly, it happened the way Elisha told him. He saw people. We are told the lepers who are there, who went, and out of their footsteps, the enemies, those are the people that they were coming to fight them, and they ran and they left food there. And so these lepers sent word. So this messenger of the king, truly he saw, because Elisha just said tomorrow, such a time. And because it was famine that had taken time, this man was at it physically, that even if they were to plant, how fast was this going to happen? So he saw, but because he doubted, he did not partake of it. So seeing he saw, but he ended up actually dying because people stepped on him as people were struggling to get the food. So he ended up dying. So this is a case that each and every word that comes from a prophet's mouth, we really need to be very careful to listen to it and to take it as it is, not to question it. And that is why the book of in the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 20, verse 20, we are told to trust upon the words of the prophet. Because it's only through trusting the words of a prophet that one gets to succeed, or one gets to be successful in whatever the prophet has told them. So it is very, very important. If we want to prosper, if you are in a prophetic ministry, listen keenly to the words that come out of the prophet's mouth, so that you pray about them, accept them, and tell the Lord that let your will be done. So that is the first one. The first one is to the prophetic words, we must believe in them. The second thing that I want to remind us as members or as persons who are in a prophetic ministry is you need to avoid familiarity with a prophet. Never be familiar with a prophet. Never be familiar with a prophet. Because prophets are messengers of God, and most of the times they operate under that prophetic mantle. So familiarity, you might think that you really know a prophet, or he may be laughing with you, talking with you, so you assume that you know, huyu namjua. Never be, because they normally simplify themselves so that they are able to interact and be also not to be identified. Cases in the Bible that reflect that. The case of Elisha and Gehazi. Gehazi had been a servant of Elisha for a very long time. And they were walking. He saw Elisha perform miracles. He had moved with Elisha. Even the miracle of the Shunammite woman. It is Gehazi who actually said that this lady does not have a child. And it's through that Elisha, the prophet, was able to speak into that woman's life that A year later, she was able to have a child. So you expect that because they had known each other for so long, then Elisha the prophet was supposed to be very, just to understand Gehazi. But when the story of Naaman, if you ever read it, when Naaman came with all those goodies that he came to present, the gifts that he brought for the servant of God, Elisha was coming for his healing on his leprosy condition. Elisha did not take those things, told him to go back with them. But Gehazi was there, his servant. And after Naaman left with those things with his servants, Gehazi pretended like he was just sorting something around, and he followed them. Because he saw all the gold and all the monies, the things that were brought. And Elisha didn't want them, but for him, he needed them. So he ran and he took them. And while he ran, Elisha was not there with him. But when he came back, Elisha asked him. And when he was asked, through that moment, you would expect that this is your worker, you'd forgive them. You'd say, probably, if it's these times, we would say probably alikuwa broke. He was just broke, so that's why he decided to go and pick these things. You would want to understand. But that's why I was saying never be familiar with a prophet. They don't understand. It is either you do the right thing or you don't. So it's two things for them. And the other thing that I want to also just remind us, prophets have two things. They will either bless you or they will speak a curse or punishment. It's two ways. So Gehazi got his punishment. And Elisha, what he did, he just reversed the leprosy that he had removed from Naaman. And he took it. And what I've realized with the prophets, even during the 31st, that they will have sympathy because it will know that. Personally, I've known him now for 12 years, this year, 2030. You even wonder that many times when we are with Miriam, when Saren never say that you understand a prophet. What you only need to do is to align yourself with the work that he's doing. Because he is on assignment. Really moving on, he was supposed to deliver the Israelites.